Hey everybody, and welcome. In this lesson, we are going to design our very own movie night social media campaign using Adobe Express Beta. The great thing about Adobe Express Beta is now you can resize all of your images all at once with the click of a button. This is going to be a really amazing kind of time saver for all of you designing. In this lesson as well, we're going to talk a little bit about design tips and how to kind of play around with visual order, AI generated images, and everywhere in between. So this is our final result, and what we're going to do is kind of create multiple just different files to kind of go to social media platforms like YouTube, or if you're going to post it on Facebook or Instagram as a square or an Instagram story. It's never been easier to do this. So we're going to go ahead and get started by going to our homepage and hitting the plus button. I always like to start with my largest file that I'm going to post, which is in this case a YouTube thumbnail size. It's a really good size, and I want to start with that spooky background. So I'm going to go ahead and go to text to image, and I'm going to go ahead and select a size that roughly fits my composition. So this is looking pretty good. That fits. All right, I want to make sure I'm on photo, and I'm going to say a low angle pointing up spooky forest in purple fog. All right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and get go here, and let's see what it gives us. So I'm going to let it run through its process, and what it's doing behind the scenes is giving me multiple options to kind of create this forest type look. Absolutely cool options here. These are some great ones. And normally, like now, you're gonna get too many to choose from. So I'm gonna go through, and I really like this last one right here. We're gonna stick with that, and that looks fantastic. All right, so let me go ahead and play with the color just a little bit as well. So in this particular case, I'm gonna go back to media and go to photos, and I wanna get a vignette. And a vignette is just a nice way to kind of add different color on top of your scene. So I'm going to start with this red one, and we're going to scale this out pretty large. It's okay if you go over. And obviously we need to set some blend modes. So we're going to do a couple things with multiply and just kind of just enough to push that back just a little bit. I like that. That's looking really cool. All right, now that we have kind of our main scene set up, we can go through and think about a little bit of the text. So we want to add that Halloween text in the middle. So I'm going to say Halloween and then movie night. I'll keep this all lowercase. Now the cool thing about Adobe Express now is everything is called inline text. It's done like a lot like all the other apps that Adobe uses, and it creates a really quick way to give you editable text. So I'm going to use this Jeopardy. It's kind of a play on words, but this Jeopardy text here. And we're going to go ahead and then highlight that lower text and just scale it in quite a bit, because again, we want this to be a little bit more, again, visible. This is called typographical hierarchy. So now we have like a really lovely kind of graphic. And so we can go and find our center. This looks pretty center to me. I like that. All right, and I may move it up just a little bit just to kind of frame it. All right, perfect. So now that I have that, I want to kind of create this like movie-esque kind of framing effect. So for that, I'm going to go to my icons, and I'm going to type right angle. And this is the easiest way I've found to do this. You can do this multiple ways, but you can see there's quite a bit of right angle shapes, arrows, you name it. Find the one that works best for you, and then obviously you get to have some fun with them. And we're going to just stretch these and put these in place. So I'm going to start just by this upper corner here and just kind of getting the scale right. We're going to change the color here. That looks really, really good. Let's change that color over to white. And a cool trick I like to use for this is I like to hold the Alt key and then drag. And when I do that, you'll notice it duplicates. This is, again, from some of the more classic Adobe apps here, you can do that. And then I'm going to do a flip horizontally there. And so now I kind of know these are pretty aligned with one another. I may want to move this in just slightly, and that's that little line there, that vertical line is telling me that they have equal margins now on each side. I'm going to group these, and I'm going to hold that Alt key once again, and I'm going to move these down to the bottom, and we're going to flip them now horizontal, or vertically I should say, and everything should be framed out really nicely. And we're going to put some text, so I'm going to give it just a little bit more room here and a little bit more room there, but things are coming together rather nicely. All right, now that I have that element, let's go ahead and put the timestamp underneath. So I'm going to get my text once more, and I'm going to, in this case, choose a different font. So I'm going to go to a font kind of like Alfron, and this is going to be quite small, so we may just type 80 to start. I think we'll even need to go lower to maybe like 40. And we're going to move this font. This is our kind of subtitle, subtext. We're going to move this down here, and we're going to type our time, 9 p.m., and then we'll type our date, and we'll use these little fun, kind of almost like it's an old video recorder timestamp. And then I'm going to move that down. I want to put a little bar behind that, so I'm going to go to my shapes, and I'm going to get that little shape size and just stretch that up. And I may fill that with a background color. So a good design tip is use the colors in which that you have available. So again, you're not stuck to black and white. If you want to sample, you can just use this little eyedropper tool and kind of sample the colors just to let it stand out from the background just a little more. And it's really up to you. Typically when I'm doing a design like this, I will change quite frequently, what my designer eye is going to do. So in this particular case, I kind of am going to go off from our original example just slightly. All right, we need a couple circles in here to denote the record buttons. Those are going to be under your shapes and your circle, and we're going to shrink them down. That's just going to give us a little bit of just kind of contrast and shape just to play around with this. This first one we'll make kind of a green, and we'll go into our green palette and just make that just a little brighter and lighter. That looks great. Hold the Alt key, pull it over so we have all our bars and all of our alignment looks good, and we'll make this one red. And we'll just keep it just a little brighter on the red side. That's looking absolutely fantastic. All right. Now we're moving along pretty good. We need a couple more text information. I kind of like to sometimes go through all the text just to make sure I have it all in here. And I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, anywhere, street, and then I'll hit enter, any town, comma, USA. All right. And we're going to shrink this quite a bit. I mean, we're looking at like maybe 18. And we're going to put this down at the bottom. We're also going to go back to our trusty old shape tool, and we're going to throw that down there as well. So in this case, I think I'm going to have it maybe the same. So again, I can sample that color I had initially here, so I can keep everything uniform. And I may play with the alignment a little bit as well. So alignment tools are really great. They're also in your inline text. They're kind of hidden in this case, so you can kind of see them over here, like your spacing and whatnot, but we can kind of then adjust as we see fit. So I like that. I'm going to hold that Alt key. And one thing you'll notice is when I start trying to duplicate with text, it doesn't always duplicate what I want it to do. So again, you can copy, click away, and paste, and then move it. That's a good kind of little trick. And we'll keep this one left aligned. And this one we're gonna write drinks plus popcorn. And then maybe ice cream plus fun. Awesome. Again, just getting some call to action, just something to get people excited as we go and play with these. All right, now that we have these moving pretty well, we are decently along our way. This is looking really, really good. I want to put that X symbol in there as well. So I'm going to just type the letter X, and I'm going to look at these different X's, and I'm going to drag and drop, scale that in. I kind of like that as that red. It just kind of chose that color for me because of the last red we picked, but I'm going to stick with it. I really dig that actually. And let's add a couple other elements just to play with this. And I got to be careful here because I'm noticing that a couple of my images up here are just slightly off screen. So I just want to stretch those out just a little bit more. You can hold your scroll wheel down and your left and your control key if you play with your mouse, and it will zoom in and out pretty easily for you. This is looking though really, really good. All right, now that we have this ready to go, you could go ahead and add, anything else you need. You could go ahead and add lines, dashes, you name it. There's red lines here. We can grab that and sneak it up here. Maybe we want to add something to the top. I love the line tool because you can turn them into dashes pretty quickly. And so we can add just a couple design elements as you wish. The hard part is sometimes grabbing them. There we go. And we're going to, and we'll put a line over here, and maybe we'll shrink it. Again, we're just thinking of like, how do we frame our work? How do we get everything to kind of have those great smart guides and align? But this is looking really, really nice. We'll name our project Halloween Movie Night. Awesome. And everything is ready to go for the next step. So let's go to resize here at the top, and let's select the square post and the vertical post as well. Now, this will not magically like make everything fit the way you want it, but it does a pretty good job in that that it will get everything on the screen, and then you'll see very quick editing will happen. So I'm going to hit duplicate and resize. The first one obviously is good, and the more I look at that, the more I realize I probably didn't center my text in the end as much as I thought I did. So I'm going to go back and just quickly edit that before we move it, and then just kind of move that in the center. That looks really good. And I'm going to go back to my multi-pages, and here I have the square, which not a hard thing to do. You're just going to stretch some things up. Use your layer palette here. You may have to crop off a bit of that image, but it's not a big deal because you have a lot of image to kind of work with here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and move some of these lines back into play. I may select everything that is here in the text, and this is just going to kind of, again, help me group things. So I'm going to go back to group at the top here and then scale that up just to make it a little bigger. That looks really nice. I may move that down just a little bit too. Get that X, scale it up, put it down here. These need to be a lot bigger as well. So I'm going to go ahead and scale those up, and I'm going to keep an eye on the number that I have on each side because I do want to match that. I believe that was 38. So I'm going to type 38 in there, and that makes it really easy just to ensure that I have everything kind of set up the way I want. So again, matter of seconds, our Instagram post is good to go. We could even go in here and change our different border thicknesses. So if you want these to be a little bit more bold, we can kind of go in and just play with this slider just to get a little more boldness. Okay, that one's done. Hit the next button. Now we're going to go here to vertical. I'm going to do a couple of rotations, just holding my cursor off the side of the screen. That's looking really good. Again, you'll see I do very similar processes. Because this is AI generated, the resolution is pretty good in the sense of, where we can scale it. So I kind of like this. And we're going to scale these up once more. And that was, I think I had 38 on the other one. Let's do 38 again. And we'll do 38 again. And we'll do that X in the middle. Love those smart guides. Here, again, we need to go and make sure that all of our text is grouped. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna grab all those elements, hit the group button. Then we can scale that out a lot bigger into place. Love it. And move some of those hairlines to their corners. Love it, love it, love it. And obviously play a little bit maybe with the thickness and the length of these as we go. So again, we just want to make sure that everything is visible. And that's looking actually really nice. I like this. All right, so we can add animation to this. This is for an Insta story. So let's go ahead and add some animation to the start of these icons at the bottom. So we're gonna do, I want them to drift in, and I want this one, go down to animation, to drift in, and I want it to come in from the other direction. And what you'll see now is they kind of come in at the same direction, which is really fun. All right, and maybe we can go to our text layer, right? And maybe we can add some looping animation there, like lightning or blinking. So now, when we put that on, we have a fun little animation with that. Finally, I want to go to my AI layer. And in this case, I'm going to scale it up pretty big, but I'm going to add a breathe animation. And I'm going to make sure that breathe animation is very, very low speed. I want it to be almost creepy. And that's even pretty intense for me. So we're going to go down to like 1 and 1. Hit play. There we go. So as you all can see, in a matter of seconds, we've created animation. We've created 3 really nice social media kind of branded, all branded in the same way, kind of advertisements. And we can export these just as easy. We can make that MP4, or we can go to all pages and export the PNG plus the MP4 all at once. And you can even choose your resolution in which you do that. So I hope you enjoyed this quick, fun design tutorial on how to create multiple pages and have consistent branding using Adobe Express Beta.